2013. In a small village in southern Guinea, a 2-year-old boy named Emile Ouamuano died of a mysterious illness on December 28, 2013. Within a few weeks, his mother, sister, and grandmother had all become very ill and soon died as well. The unknown illness soon spread throughout nearby villages and eventually made its way to the capital city of Conakry. On March 22nd of 2014, the illness was finally identified as Ebola after 3 months and 59 fatalities. A large reason why it took months to identify the virus was because medical examiners had never seen a case of Ebola in West Africa. If the virus was able to be identified at an earlier stage, it may have been possible to contain it or slow down its progress, potentially saving thousands of lives. But within a few days, cases had been reported in the neighboring country of Liberia. On May 26th, it had spread to Sierra Leone. By July 25th, Nigeria had reported its first case. In August, aid workers from the United States, Spain, and Germany were medically evacuated back to their home countries while carrying the disease. As the Christmas of 2014 rolled along, there had been 20,000 cases of Ebola, resulting in 7,500 deaths spanning 10 countries. Just before New Year's Eve, a story would be released by German investigators regarding the origin of the outbreak. They examined the village and home of the first patient, Emile Ouamuano, and found that he liked to play near a tree 50 meters from his house. After some time, they had found that Emile's favorite tree was also home to many bats. If one of those bats was a carrier for the Ebola virus and made contact with the 2-year-old boy at any time, it may have indirectly caused the entire Ebola outbreak in West Africa. As of November 10th, 2015, 9 of the 10 Ebola-infected countries were considered free of the virus. And as of November 17th, 2015, a 3-week-old baby was the last infected Ebola patient. And the youngest survivor. Although, the fact that this baby was able to survive the Ebola virus at such a young age makes me a little bit suspicious that this baby is secretly a superhero or something. So that brings us to the next question. Did Ebola deserve all of the media and public attention that it received? Well, that answer is probably not. One of the reasons why Ebola was touted as being such a scary disease is because in its early stages, it was killing about 85% of the people it infected. But eventually, the mortality rate would drop to around 40 or 50% due to developed immunity, public awareness of the disease, and treatment of infected patients. But when we look at Ebola and other diseases on a macro scale, Ebola probably shouldn't have even been on the radar. For example, during the Ebola outbreak of 2014, malaria was killing well over 10 times as many people in West Africa as Ebola was. And actually, things like car accidents, malnourishment, HIV, the influenza, respiratory infections, birth complications, and even diarrhea killed more people in West Africa during the outbreak. So maybe all of the attention and resources that was spent on the Ebola outbreak should have gone to larger threats to the people of West Africa. Like the large threat of the hippo, which has killed more people in the last decade than Ebola. Honestly, the reason why Ebola kept getting all of the media attention was because that's what got the most clicks on the internet, you know, the most newspapers sold and the most watch time on news stations. Everyone knows that any sort of news outlet tends to rely on fear and negative stories to attract the most attention. And eventually, with enough fear in the public's eye, it'll lead to reactions like this.
This is ridiculousness here. I had to go to the hospital emergency room just to get a checkup. I had to check the hell up if I got the Ebola. I wanted to make sure because I had diarrhea for the last 2 years every single day. So I don't know if I got it or if I ate a bad burrito from Chipotle and it's still in my system. I can't go to nobody's house and have some dinner at their house. I don't know what the hell they was doing. They might scratch their ass, got Ebola, and put some Ebola assness in the spaghetti. Now I'm slurping on spaghetti and slurping on Ebola at the same time.
So should us Canadians fear the great Ebola virus? I would say probably not, because there have been 0 documented cases of Ebola in Canada, meaning that Canadians are more likely to die from trying to take a selfie with a beaver than we are to die of Ebola. But even if Ebola did come to Canada, we are much more prepared for outbreaks than other countries because of our amazing healthcare system, public policies, education system, and government intervention. Yeah, we're kind of awesome. So what did we learn from this video? Well, we learned how Ebola originated and spread throughout Western Africa. We learned why it probably shouldn't be as big of an issue as other things in Africa, like HIV, influenza, and diarrhea. And we learned why us in Canada should not fear this Ebola virus. That's it, everyone. Video's over. So thank you for listening to me ramble throughout this